Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is so exciting because we're going to be talking about demoing and reviewing Mel Thompson's brand new exciting collab with Sydney Grace. Oh my days, like where to start, where to even start. I could talk about Mel, my friend Mel, the wonderful, amazing, talented, glorious, generous, beautiful Mel Thompson here on YouTube all day long. But I mean, that might be slightly weird for some of you. And this popped through my letterbox a week or so ago. Oh, I was bursting with pride, excitement, just all of the good things for Mel, because she truly deserves all of it. And I'm always saying to her, I've said it numerous times, this is your year, this is going to be your year, this year is holding amazing, incredible things for you, and I can already see it and it's already happening, and this is just the next step on what I know is going to be an incredible journey for you, Mel, and you deserve all of the success and all of the everything good that possibly could happen to a person. As I said, I could talk about Mel and all of her amazing qualities all day long. But let me just say this, when this palette, I mean, I've battered the absolute living daylights out of it already. When this palette first came through my door, I messaged her immediately with like, this is how I feel about it. All like just, I was shook. Like, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. She hadn't sent me any pictures or anything like that before I opened it. That was the first time I saw it. And I was just like, do you know what? This palette, it's you in a palette. It's you in a palette. Of course, it's got, you know, like her gorgeous bugs, like her small creatures, like her tattoos. It represents Mel so well on the cover, and the packaging is very Mel. The shades are very Mel shades. Like, who could wear these shades better than Mel Thompson? Nobody I know. But I said to Mel, I was like, do you know what? It's unique, but stunning. It's different, but in the most gorgeous way. It's like colorful, but wearable. It's something that we don't see every day, but yet our hearts are instantly drawn to it. It's something that is soft, yet strong, beautiful, but gloriously unique and different, and just nothing I've ever seen or experienced before. And that is everything that you could say about Mel as a person, and this palette represents her as a person so well. So to give you the details of this palette, so obviously, hopefully you watched Mel's launch her video where she announced the collab and told you all of the tea on it. So that was her birthday. So happy birthday, Mel, again. The 5th of August was her birthday. It's coming out on the 7th of August, 9 a.m. PST. What time is that here? So that is 5 p.m. UK time. If you are like me in the UK, it's going to be exclusively on Sydney Grace's website, which I will put here, and it is going to be $52, which is just shy of £40 for 15 shades and 30 grams of eyeshadow, which is pretty decent price if you ask me. Obviously, if you're in the UK, you're going to have to pay taxes and shipping costs, and you will, I think, have to pay the Royal Mail fee probably when it gets here, because the taxes will be payable on arrival. I don't think they include them on their website, so that's just something to know if you're UK based. I am 100% sure that this palette is going to sell out, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how many they have, but I wouldn't be surprised if it sold out, certainly in the first day, because there's just, nobody is doing this. Nobody is doing this, and nobody is doing this anywhere near as well as Mel and Sydney Grace have done it. So, I mean, all I'm going to say is I wouldn't wait around. So they sent me this little card with the, look at her. I love you. Sorry, that was weird. But they sent me this little card with all of the launch details and this little message, which I'm going to read to you from Mel. So it says, hey beauties, I'm so excited to announce my very first eyeshadow palette collaboration with Sydney Grace. I present to you Tiny Marvels. I am a long-time lover of tiny creatures, tattoos, colourful creations, and of course, makeup. I wanted to be able to bring all of these worlds together to curate the most marvellous palette. And she did. The shades in my palette are based on the colours and tiny critters I have tattooed on my body. I selected an array of neutral nudes, pops of pastel and vivid splashes of colour. I hope these tiny marvels bring you as much joy as they do to me. This palette is my vision. Now make it yours. Oh, I'm so proud. So proud. Congratulations, Mel. You deserve all of the everything that I know is coming to you. This is just the start, I know. Anyway. Yeah. I'm going to be showing you all the swatches. I'm going to be showing you my 3 favourite looks. You guys, I know, you must be so fuming at me because I've been posting, ever since this palette came through my door, I've been posting looks with it on Instagram, but obviously I couldn't tell you what I was using and you guys all lost it, particularly over the green eyeshadow look, as you did on Mel's video where she wore that green and everybody was like, what have you got on your lids? And none of us were telling you, and it must have been extremely frustrating and annoying for you. But now you know, this is what I've been wearing for the last who knows how many posts on my Instagram and will be wearing for the foreseeable future. I've used every shade in here numerous times and I'm about to show you almost all of the shades used on my eyes today. I'm going to be showing you this soft daytime wearable soft glam type of look, and I'm going to be showing you some more colourful out there evening looks, smokier looks, more kapow look. So truly this palette does it all easily. It's a very, very user friendly. That's what I found. You know, I'm not a professional. I know you guys want to hype me up and disagree with me, but I'm really not an artistic creative person. I find it very hard to put colors together, especially like some, you know, pastels and these kind of real colorful palettes. It's nothing that I usually would feel confident working with. And I didn't, you know, I never messaged Mel saying, how do I work with this? How do I put combos together? Where do I put that shade? What do I do with this? It's just, you look at it and you know, even me, when I'm not that sort of artsy brain, that's not kind of my personality. It's not a quality I have. I wish I did. But believe me, it's just so easy, as you'll see, to put combos together. You look in the palette and it inspires you to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Even someone like me, who's a bit of a fraidy cat when it comes to colour, I will happily and easily use every shade in here. And I have been, let me tell you. So let's get into some swatches and the demo of the 3 eyeshadow looks. And then I will give you my final thoughts on this palette. So here is the external packaging with all those beautiful bugs that represent Mel and her stunning, unique tattoos, but also just her personality and everything about her. This is like so Mel. And then inside, this is the palette itself with that same image on the front. And inside you have the palette in all its glory. Okay, so now for some swatches, and we're starting off with the top row. We have Web, which is that light, bright, perfect inner corner shade. We've then got Tree Hopper, which for me, oh, sorry, picked up a little bit too much there. But for me, this is like the first shade, like the perfect first shade. On deeper skin tone, you could set your lid with this shade. For fairer skin, this is going to be, you know, a proper transition for you. For me, this is like a first transition to blend everything together type of shade. Next, of course, we have Firebutts. Now, I mean, this is the shade everyone has been losing their mind on Instagram, both myself and Mel, asking us, what is that shade? What is that green lid shade? And it is everything you hope and want it to be, let me tell you. Next up, we have Walking Stick, which is a deeper sort of khaki toned matte. This shade, one of my favorite shades in the palette. It is just perfect. If you want to do, you know, an olive eye, you want to, you know, put this shade on the lid, Firebutts, like this is everything. This matte, oh my God, it's just the perfect khaki matte shade. It goes easily with warmer tones as well, but yeah, I love this for like a green or an olive like type of look. This is the perfect matte. She's nailed that one. And lastly, from that top row, we have Scarab, which is that like duochrome. It's got that sort of pinky shift. You see that when you turn your arm, it's got a sort of rose and then that stunning, what would it be, a teal shade, like just like, again, I did an eye look yesterday that had this kind of on the outer portion of the lid and then the stunning fire butts on the inner third, and wow, that is a combo. So that is the first row. Now on to the second row, we have Flutterby. Oh, I mean, it's the perfect sort of corally peachy type of, again, like transition first shade. Would be stunning if you're doing an all matte shade as well. Beautiful pairs with some of the deeper purpley shades in here, just gloriously. Next we have that stunning bright gold BB shade. Like, I mean, that gold is just so bright and perfect. Next we have Mantis, which if you're a colour phobe like me, is probably the scariest shade in the palette. But actually, when you see it and you pair it, you know, with Walking Stick and Fire Butts, it all just seamlessly works together. So you will definitely actually get use out of this one. If, like me, you think you won't because you're scared of colour, you definitely will, because there's just shades in here that make it work so seamlessly and make it less intimidating. Sorry, this is Meadowhawk, that stunning rosy pink shade, just glorious. Again, the other day I used this over the top of this one on the lid, over the top of Web on the lid, and it just made the lightest pink dream. It was glorious. And last but not least for that second row is Love Bug, like the perfect like deepening up purpley shade for the crease. You can already see how amazing this is going to go with Meadowhawk. And again, like these three shades, that's just a look there, isn't it? Just glorious. So there you have the first two shades. I mean, these are all like a quick swirl and one swipe, and I'm not the best at swatches, but my God, you're already getting to see the quality of this palette, aren't you? And the final row, starting off with Jewel Bee. Just going to build that one up a little bit because I didn't grab too much, but this is Jewel Bee, and this is another shade that in the pan looks so intimidating, but actually, as you can already see when you swatch it, it's not as super bright as it might look in the pan, and you can immediately see, wow, again, what a combo this is going to give you. So again, these are probably the two intimidating shades if you're afraid of colour like me in the palette. And actually, as soon as you swatch them, they're less intimidating. And as soon as you start to see them with some of the other shades in the palette, you realise, actually, there's some great combos I can wear here. One of my favourite shades, Marvel. Oh, just look at that. I mean, if you don't want to desperately whack that straight on your lids, then I don't know if we can be friends, to be honest. Next up, Death Moth. The perfect like next step up for deepening the crease from Walking Stick. Like, again, if you're going to go Tree Hopper, Walking Stick, and then Death Moth with this bad boy on the lid, you can already see how glorious that's going to be. And then, whoops, oh, I mean, Bugaboo. Again, as soon as you see Bugaboo, you're starting to think about these tones, you know, and wow, how beautiful if you start off with Flutterby and then you've got this one to deepen it up, this on the lid. I mean, you just instantly see combos with this palette. And lastly, but by no means leastly, we have Spider, which is pretty much going on my elbow at this point because we've run out of room, which is like the perfect deepening, sorry, my arm is about to fall off. This is just the perfect like rich brown, but with a slight sort of plummy tone to it to like really work with some of these tones. I've used it with all different looks. I used it with my green look. I used it with my rose gold look. I used it pretty much in every look, and it just works because it blends so well that it's just the perfect, it just works so beautifully to like deepen up any look. So here we have the whole palette. I mean, isn't she glorious? Isn't she glorious? Look at that. I've run out of space. But that is a palette, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to start off with the shade Walking Stick, which is this Dreamboat right here. And I'm going in on my Refer 16 brush. And we're just going to whack this in the crease. By the way, I prepped my lids with concealer and set them with powder. You know, that's my jam. that's how I roll. And then what you're going to just see with all these shades is how easy they are to blend and how buildable and how unintimidating they are. Although obviously Mel is such a pro and she's so talented, and I think you might think, if you're like me and you know you're of distinctly, I want to say average talent, but I mean that in itself is pushing it, honestly. But you don't feel like you're skilled, you don't feel creative at putting colour combos together, or I mean, who is as creative and talented as Mel at that? Obviously, we aren't, most of us, certainly not me. But honestly, the way they've put this palette together, you don't need to think about colour combos. They're right there. You look at it and you can see it. The way it's laid out, everything is just so user-friendly and easy, and you don't have to be creative or have a super inventive, artistic brain to know what shades are going to be amazing, because they've literally taken the guesswork out for you. Now, you guys know I have a heavy hand. I'm a bit cack-handed. I'm not like the most delicate of flowers, but the blend, I mean, I always whack too much eyeshadow on and then struggle to blend it out, and they're just so easy. These shadows are so easy. Next, I'm going in with Death Moth down here to deepen that up a little, and I'm using my Rephr 15 this time, and we're going to just deepen up that crease. And again, even though we're doing like a colourful look today, you know, it's taking moments, because one, I'm not having to think about anything, and two, everything just blends like a freaking dream. When I first got this palette in the post, this was my first experience of Sydney Grace shadows. They do ship internationally, they do ship to the UK, but they don't have a UK stockist, so it's one of those where, you know, you've got to pay tax and duties if you go over a certain amount, and I don't think they cover that on their site. I think so you'll have to pay that when it arrives into the country, so that can be you know, frightening, scary for people, because it just, you know, adds to the price. So I'd never put in an order, but my God, I've wanted to. I've been seeing their shadows on Mel and Temptalia. I mean, they're literally some of the highest rated shadows on Temptalia, and I know that Christine, the owner of that blog, flipping loves them. And just blending this together. So I've really desperately wanted to try them. So I just can't tell you how excited I was to finally be able to whack these shadows. I just had no idea what to expect, but I don't think I expected them to be this good. Like, I wasn't ready. I've lost my brush. There it is, there it is. So now I'm going in with Fire Butts, that green. I mean, look at her. The shade that everybody lost their minds, including me. As soon as I saw Mel posted that video with this eyeshadow on, I was messaging her like, I see you. I see what you're doing. And then as soon as I got it, I was like, oh. I mean, did you see that? Do you see that? Do you see that? Do you see that? Have you seen anything? Have you seen? It just cut my crease for me, that shade. Did you see how that literally cut my crease for me? Have you seen that happen before? This type of shade? My life. I mean, I literally, when this is the first look I tried with this palette. It was literally this one that I'm showing you now. And when I did that with a shadow, I gasped. I was aghast. Like, pardon? So now I'm going back into Walking Stick, which was the first shade we used. And I'm just going to blend this a little together. I might actually show you a bit of Scarab, because I'm not planning to use that in another look today. So I'm just going to actually put a little bit of this on this outer part of the eye, just to blend everything together and so that you can get a look at another shade. This is just to die for. I mean, I always do my eyes first, particularly if I'm doing quite a sort of dramatic look, because most shadows that I use, you know, if they've got a lot of pigment, etc., they're going to have some fallout. But can you really see there's the tiniest bit? And I've really, you know what I'm like. I've been going in very heavy-handed with way more shadow than I need, and still, and like the most sort of brighter, shimmery, more colourful shades in there. And there's the teeniest little bit, which is amazing. So that is not something you need to worry about with this palette either. Just going to clean that edge up with a wipe, and this is the first look. So this is pretty much the look that you guys were like desperately begging me to tell you what I'd used, and I couldn't answer you on my Instagram. So this is it. This is that green that everyone's been losing their minds over, and this is the first look. So you can see, you can really get like a dramatic, grungy type of look with this palette, and it's going to completely contrast with the next one I'm about to show you. There's something in here for everyone, let me tell you. So for my next look, I don't know, who is that I'm doing an impression of, who knows? So now I'm going in with Jewel Bee, that like pastely purple on the bottom row, and we're going to go in again, hang on. Yes, Refa 16 we're going in. And can you see, looks really intimidating in the palette, doesn't it? Well, I mean, it does to me, because you know me, I am extremely vanilla when it comes to, I mean, most things, but especially eyeshadow. I, you know, am a kind of bronzy, you know, kind of girl. This kind of colour usually wouldn't go anywhere near my eyes, but look at it actually in the crease. It's the perfect crease shade if you're going to use, you know, the purples in this palette. This is your like first shade for sure. Next we're going to go in with Love Bug, which is over here, this dark mauvey shade. Like, I'm always looking for these types of tones, and this is it. I mean, look at that. This is the perfect deeper mauve. I feel like this is the shade that's missing from so many palettes. You guys know that my tones, like if I'm going for colour, I do pinks and purples, and I've got lots of pinks and purples type of palettes, and none of them have this shade. None of them have this really deep, stunning like mauve. Like, none of them do. They have a lighter mauve or they have a shimmery mauve. None of them have this deep, rich mauve matte like this. Is like, I'm going to be digging into this palette to use any other palette that I have, honestly. Now I'm going to use my Zoeva 225, and I'm going in with Bugaboo, which is this deep berry type of matte on the bottom. I'm just making up these shade descriptions, by the way. I'm sure Mel will have had the actual proper ones in her video, you know, because I'm just making them up as I go along. So I've actually started to do a halo eye here, which wasn't what I was expecting, but you know, that's what we're going with. That's the glory actually of this palette, is you really can do whatever you want. You don't need to think. I haven't had to stop and look at this for an hour to work out what my looks are. I've just literally started whacking things on, and it all just ends up looking glorious. Like I said, I'm not a pro, I'm not a makeup artist by any means, never done anyone's makeup other than my own. And it, you know, a lot of the time that's questionable, but it's just mistake proof. Everything sorts itself out because you can just blend it all away. Not away, you know what I mean. You can blend your mistakes away, not the eyeshadow. You can see, the thing is, that's actually a good point, because I sometimes work with, you know, shadows, like matte shadows, and I take a lot of blending because I am heavy-handed. So I do need to do a lot of blending because I tend to lay down too much shadow initially. So I need to blend for a long time if I'm going to get a decent blend. And a lot of the time I'll find that I'm blending shadows away, or the more you blend, they become super patchy because you've blended too much. You've spent too much time blending, or you're too heavy with your blending. With this, I feel like you can blend forever if you want, and it just keeps blending. It doesn't lift up, it doesn't go away, it doesn't start getting patchy, it just gets more and more blended, which is, you know, ideal. So next I'm going to take this shade Web down here. I'm going to put this on my lid for a super bright halo, and then we'll see. Oh, you know, I was thinking I was going to put one of the pinky shades over the top because I thought it was going to be too bright, but I like that. I mean, this is for me, like, this has been my inner corner pop in this palette, this shade. It's just the perfect icy inner corner pop, you know. By the way, at no point have I wet my brush for any of these shadows. This is all my MAC 242, just dry, no setting spray. You just don't need to. I'm going to take a bit of Love Bug, which is that mauve I was raving about, that second shade we used, and just blend the rest of that. The thing is with the halo, it's like, in theory it's simple if you can do makeup, but it does, like, it's easy, as in it's easier than I think it looks when you're finished, but it does take a lot of going back and forth to get it how you want it. Luckily I'm not having to try and match it on the other side, because there's no matching these two, is there? Come on. And there you have it. That's my second look. So I mean, you've got this super bold, grungy, green khaki army colours. You've got this stunning, super smoky purple option on this side. Obviously, if I was finishing these looks, I'd go brows, lashes, I'd do my lower lash line, etc. Oh, I will show you actually though an inner corner pop on this side using the shade Web, which is that shade we used for our halo. So you can see, I mean, if that doesn't float your boat, tickle your pickle, ride your horse for you, I don't know what will. So here's the first two looks. Obviously both of these looks are, you know, dramatic. They are a lot. They are probably nighttime for most people, though I did go out for the day wearing this literally to a farm shop. So, you know, it's each to their own. But the next look I'm going to show you is going to be super daytime friendly. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you a more daytime kind of friendly look to show you just how versatile this palette is. I'm starting off with Flutterby, which is that stunning corally peachy shade, and my Refer 16. Again, you can just see how easy all these shades are on the lid, on the eye, on the lid, on the crease. So easy to blend these mattes. Like, you can just whack an absolute load on and not have to worry about how easy they're going to be to blend out. Okay, now I'm going in with Bugaboo, which is that super deep, like mulberry looking shade, and my Refer 15. I don't know why I keep looking, it's just always the same brushes, you know. I'm sorry if you can hear drilling. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but it's happening right behind me, so that's fantastic. I quite often forget to tap shadows off as well, so I like, you know, dab my brush in there and then forget to tap them off, and again, you just really don't get. I mean, I did the first two looks, wiped them off, now I'm doing this same look on both eyes, and there's really, even though I haven't been very good at remembering to tap off excess, even though I've been going in heavy-handed, like, there's really nothing on my face, like, at all. And you really don't, I mean, you can look at the palette, like, I've been using this non-stop, and there's, you know, you just really don't get a huge amount of kickback. You get a tiny little bit of kick up, which you expect from pigmented shadows, but you really do not get an excessive amount. At the same time, you just touch your brush in there and that's enough. You know, they're just like, they're the perfect middle ground between pigment and being super loosely pressed. So I just think they've nailed it. So MAC 242 and Marvel Fave shade, probably in the whole palette. I don't know, the Fire Butts, that green, I just have nothing like it. But this is like a me shade, this one. I mean, oh, that rosy gold, perfection. Super wearable. Obviously I've used the coral and that deeper kind of mulberry shade in my crease today, but you could use, you know, maybe just Tree Hopper, which is this lighter matte up here, and then you could have used Flutterby and you'd have got a much softer look. If you want to really tone things down, you really can do anything with this palette. You can make it as daytime or as nighttime as you want. Sigma E25 and that same Bugaboo shade, just to deepen up the outer Coffee. And then I'm going to go into a bit of Meadowhawk, which is the other sort of rosy toned shimmer in the palette. And I'm just going to go on this outer edge here to get a nice little blend between the deeper matte and the lighter shimmer. Nice little bit of marrying together there, a little bit of teamwork. Makes the dream work. And there you have your perfect daytime look. I will go in actually with a bit of web on the inner corner. Again, web, you know, you don't have to make it, it doesn't have to be super, super bright. You can use it lighter and blend it a bit more, and you'll get a bit more of a sort of softer inner corner from it. I'm just going to finish off the rest of my makeup and I'll be back. So I'm going to use a mix of Flutterby, which is the light peachy shade, and then the darker Bugaboo shade on this bottom row. And I'm just going to literally dab my, what is this? My Zoeva pencil brush in both those shades, tap it off, and I'm going to run this under the lower lash line, and that's just going to finish off this more kind of daytime friendly look. And here is the finished look with lashes on, or mascara on anyway. Obviously I don't wear lashes, but mascara, brows, lower lash line, everything complete of my third look with Mel's amazing palette. So there you have it. Those are my three looks, my three favorite looks with this palette. I mean, hopefully you can see how versatile it is. You can go mega colourful, you can go different, you can go edgy, you can go gothy, you can go glam, you can go rocker, you can go pretty, you can go feminine, you can go soft, you can go daytime, you can go night. It's, you get it, you get it. It's the most versatile palette. It's the easily the most colourful palette I have in my collection by a million miles. Yet I can't put it down. Like, I don't consider myself a colour person. I'm like neutrals. I'm scared. I'm like warm tones. I'm a massive wimp and a bore when it comes to eyeshadow. I have like never worn so much colour. I've just loved like doing something different, and just in such a wearable, easygoing way. Like, it's not intimidating. You might think so, but it's not. This is my first time using Sydney Grace shadows. I've been desperate to try them for a long time. Oh, I'm so impressed. I think they're amazing. This palette, I just think they smashed it out of the park. It couldn't be more Mel. I just am so proud. I think it's amazing. I feel so honoured that I got to play with this before it was even launched. I can't even tell you. You just can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. It's got something for everybody. The mattes are amazing. The shimmers are some of the most impactful shimmers I've ever used. Like, they're just to die for. Smooth, buttery, creamy, minimal fallout, minimal kickback, maximum pigment, but in the most blendable way. It's bomb. It's flipping bomb. So yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. You will certainly not regret picking this palette up, regardless of whether you are a beginner, you're a pro, you like colour, you're more of a basic baby like me, you are, you know, experienced, you feel like you know what you're doing when it comes to eyeshadow, whatever level you are, creativity, skill, etc. It's just going to work for so many people, so many skin tones, so many preferences. You just really can't go wrong. I just don't know of another palette like this that gives you all of that. And it's in, like, it's not a ginormous huge, it's just the perfect size as well. The pans are nice and big, so you can really get your brush in there. It's just perfection in a palette. Of course it is. Who ever thought that Mel was going to put out an eyeshadow palette that wouldn't be the best eyeshadow palette of your whole life? Who would have? Not me. Of course it was going to be. So yeah, I have absolutely zero qualms in recommending this palette to you. And I honestly very rarely will tell you that I fully stamp and recommend that you buy this palette or any makeup item, because obviously makeup is very subjective, and I feel like my job is to tell you what I think of a product and how it performed on me, and then it's your choice whether or not, I mean, it's still your choice. I'm not forcing you to buy it. But my part of the deal is that I tell you what I think about it, And your part of the deal here on YouTube is you decide if it's for you, if that ticks all your boxes or floats all of your boats or tickles all of your pickles. But I will certainly go out on a limb here for Mel and Sydney Grace and this palette and tell you that I highly recommend, if this is in any way, shape or form your type of thing, you love eyeshadow like me, I will highly recommend this palette to you. You will not be disappointed, and that is a promise. How often do we get promises on YouTube, really? I mean, not very often. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.